Welcome to the 9th episode of Skyrim Cut Content. Today I'll be taking a look at a story inconsistency that's actually hiding some cut content. Our location will be the small farming community of Rorikstead. Once we arrive, we will need to speak to Eric, a young man who is living the life of a farmer. This is not a lifestyle he particularly enjoys, however. Of course, since you're the player, you're expected to help this total stranger out with his problems, and he requests you speak to his father Moralki, who is the local innkeeper. Rorikstad's local inn is called the Frostfruit Inn, and you have a very high chance of encountering Moralki alone here during the day. When you speak to him, you'll get your standard quest options: bribe, persuade, or intimidate. All three work, and not much later, you'll be sent back to tell Eric the good news. End of story. But the interesting part here actually lies in the backstory. Through dialogue, Eric tells you that his father was a soldier, even though Moralki doesn't ever mention this to you.
My father was a soldier. He fought in the Great War, and when it was over, he retired here to raise a family. My father, Moralki, manages the inn. He used to be a soldier, but he left that life behind.
The next scene implies that Moralki still has some possessions from his days as a soldier. And another interesting tidbit too.
I heard you sneaking around downstairs last night. Were you trying to break into my chest again, son? I've told you to leave it alone.
I just wanted to try on your old armor, from back when you were a soldier. I thought I might be old enough to wear it.
I've told you 100 times I locked that chest for a reason. I don't want you getting a head full of ideas about adventure and glory.
I'm old enough to decide how to live my life, and I'd be honored to wear your armor. If you just let me. I'm strong enough to handle it.
Strong, yes. But how clever are you? I tell you what. If you can open the lock on my chest, you can have everything in it.
I'll take your challenge. But if I win, I get to start a new life as an adventurer, and with no objections from you.
So, as you might have already guessed, the point I'm trying to make here is that Moralki mentions a chest downstairs. But the inn doesn't have a downstairs, only the ground floor. Now comes the part where I tell you about an unused basement for the inn, right? Well, wrong, that would have been way too easy. What does exist is the aforementioned chest, and not only that, but also the key meant to unlock it. First off, the key. Its in-game name would have just been Iron Key, but internally it's known as Rorikstead Freeform Moralki's Chest Key. Rorikstead Freeform being the internal name of the quest to help Eric. Secondly, there's the chest. Inside is a nearly complete set of iron armor, lacking only the helmet. This is interesting as it's the exact getup Eric receives on quest completion in the final game. What is different, however, is the weapon he gets. The chest contains a steel sword, whereas Eric in the final game uses an iron one. The last item in the chest is the most interesting one: 50 septims. Now, why is this interesting? Well, in the final game, the whole ordeal was that Moralki couldn't afford to buy Eric some armor. This is odd, but I'll elaborate further in a moment. First, I need to finish something, as the previously mentioned key has another function. When we look at the commented out script notes for the Rorikstead Freeform quest, we will notice that the note to set stage 10 of the quest reads as follows: Player has spoken to Eric, and Eric is waiting to get the key. This confirms that in an earlier version of this quest, the player had to acquire the key from Moralki in order to give it to Eric. Now, to elaborate, rather than just talk to Moralki to get permission, the player had to acquire the key from Moralki's chest, and this idea was seemingly dropped later in development. But it seems that other parts might have been different as well, and I believe that the original reason Moralki wouldn't let Eric venture out was changed, just like the quest objectives, although I have no evidence to back this claim up. Something I also can back up, but strongly believe in, is that originally both Eric and Moralki would have just been farmers instead of an innkeeper and son. A lot of their dialogue revolves around Eric not wanting to stay on the farm. To back up my claim, the land Eric works on during the day is actually part of Lemgil's farm, something that doesn't make any sense at all. But except for that weirdness, I have no substantial evidence to confirm this was the case, except for some logical reasoning. And that's about all that can be said on the mythical basement chest of the Frostfruit Inn. I hope that I've just educated someone somewhere about Skyrim's good content, and then I'm happy. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts and or requests in the comments below, and until next episode, We have enough content to keep us going for a long while.